Welcome back to the Automation Podcast, the world's #1 industrial automation product and technology show. Thanks to you, our audience of highly trained and skilled automation professionals. If this is your first time watching, my name is Shawn from Insights in Automation, and this is a special episode of the show. This is our 2023 year in review. And let's go ahead and get started. And I will switch over to this view here. And this is the automationblog.com. This is our parent site. And last year we celebrated 10 years. And I have to change that logo. But in any case, this year we're celebrating 10 years of the Automation School. And that is our sponsor for this week's show. If you know anybody looking for PLC, HMI, or SCADA training, please mention theautomationschool.com to them. Now back to the automationblog.com. At the end of every year, I have some end of year tests to do. I got to look up and see, who's reading what blogs and what videos are people watching and what podcasts are people listening to. And part of the reason is to help me be a better content creator and host. And part of the reason is to update the media guide because we are, as you can see, we're a news organization and a how-to organization that is funded by sponsors and advertisers. So it's very important for them to know, what our reach is and if they're going to, spend money with us, right? And our reach, I think, is pretty good because our audience has been awesome over the last 10 years. And so today, in today's show, I'm going to share with you, what were our top articles, videos, and podcasts of the year. Now, if you want to know more of the gory stats, especially if you're a vendor, go up here to the very top of the automationblog.com. You'll see it in small letters, media guide. And in there, I put all the stats. We used to not release them to the world, but I don't like that other companies don't do that. It makes it difficult to see what they're doing. So I now anybody can go up there and see our media guide and see our reach and how many people are following us and, what our top videos were and whatnot. But I thought for the average listener, viewer, visitor to the site, an average member of our audience, I thought they would prefer to have these blogs where they could actually go and check out each of the articles, videos, and podcasts. So I spent some time. It takes quite a while to put these together, but I spent some time and put them together, and now we're going to look at them today in today's roundup. And I know we have about 22% of you listen on audio platforms like Apple, Google, Spotify. And that doesn't even count how many are listening on YouTube. I know a lot of people do listen only on YouTube as well. So I'll try to be very descriptive as I cover this, but of course, if you're watching, you'll be able to see everything I'm pointing at. So with that said, let's go over to the first one. I thought we would start with our top 10 blog articles for 2023. Now, in different years, I've kind of done this differently, but for this year, what I thought I would do is just look at what were the most popular blogs. I took out any type of videos we did because sometimes the podcast, a lot of people will come to the Automation blog to listen to the podcast or watch our videos because it's in many cases a better experience than watching them with all the ads on the other platforms. In any case, but I included all articles going back to 2013, all 10 years, to see, what in 2023 was the most popular. And so these are the ones I came up with. Now, I'm going to do this in reverse order. So I'm going to start with number 10 and go count down to number 1. Usually I do this like New Year's week. And so it's kind of like a New Year's countdown. But in any case, let's go ahead and get started here. So number 10, and I'm surprised this was so popular still, but it's converting a VMware VMX file for use in VirtualBox. And this, I believe, was written by Brandon Cooper, who's written a ton of stuff for us in the past. I know he's changed jobs, and we're hoping to get him to write for us some more in the future. But in any case, seeing this really makes me feel like in my upcoming new courses, I'm not only going to cover VMware, but I'm also going to cover VirtualBox because, hey, it's a free version. Even though I've been using VMware, 20 years now or more. We used to use Ghost and Ghost images of the PCs. I like VMware so much better. But in any case, VirtualBox is definitely gaining ground for those especially people doing stuff at home because it's free. I know some companies may balk at a $150 price for VMware, but really, $150. In any case, multi-million-dollar companies balking at $150. You just got to find the comedy in that, especially if you're one of the ones in that position. I remember, I'll tell you, and I hope you guys don't mind, I'll throw in some stories. When I first got into this business back 34 years ago now, right, 1990, I was begging for Windows because I had the ICOM guys coming over and showing me intelligent software, which was really cool. And the boss just wouldn't spend, I don't know what it was, $100 for a copy of Windows back then, Windows 3.1. And so it was like, it wasn't until his wife, who worked for the town and as a school teacher, got a computer with Windows, that we were able to buy Windows. And I'm just like, you're a multi-million-dollar company, but when the public servant gets a copy of the operating system, well, then I guess it's okay for us to have it. But in any case, I just thought it was funny. But that's a blast from the past. The number 9 article was how to reset your PanelView Plus 7 to defaults. Now, I tried to get a Series B, the one with the Windows 10 embedded on it. I've never had any success, so I'm not going to buy one just to create a few sample videos on it. But even the original Series A of the PanelView Plus 7 was so confusing compared to the other PanelView Plus and PanelView Plus 6 that apparently this article is still pretty popular. And I think one of the tricks here is the password. You're kind of forced to put a password in, which I'm not saying is a bad thing, but it threw me for a loop the first time I did it, and that's why I wrote this article. So hopefully it's helping people out there. Number 8, you can see here, is how to access the PanelView Plus configuration mode. Okay, so this was made very difficult, and there were times where it was nearly impossible. And so I go through all that. Depending on what firmware rev you have, depends on how hard it is to get to. And in any case, once you're in there, you can pretty much do everything. It's very intuitive. But again, there were some models where the only way to get in, and I used to have people yell at me at this, and I'm like, I didn't work for, I was a distributor guy. I didn't work right for Rockwell in the product group, but they would yell at you saying, why can't I just get in and change the time? So in any case, that's number 8. Number 7. And this was written to us by, oh gee whiz, I'm having a Paul Hunt, who's written so much for us. I don't know why I forgot Paul's name, but in any case, Paul has written a lot of stuff for us, like Brandon did, and he has been the one who wrote most of our Mitsubishi articles. Great guy. We actually interviewed him. We interviewed both Brandon and Paul on the Automation Podcast in episodes past, and he wrote an article about timers and counters in Mitsubishi PLCs, and I'm really surprised that this is so popular. But it is, right? Who would have thought? So I did unbox my first FX5. We did have Mitsubishi sent in a sample a long time ago, so I unboxed it, and I did my first time using it, and that's still one of our most popular videos. But we'll talk about those later. But in any case, Paul did a great job on this. It still continues to be one of our most popular articles. Let's go down to number 6. This is, I've written articles on this, and I know Brandon's written articles on this. These are the errors you get with Studio 5000. This one particular one is resolve fatal application error encountered. So fatal application error encountered, how to resolve that. And I think I may have written this one. Yes, as I was preparing to film my additional lessons for my Compact Logics course, I ran into this issue. And so I walked through how to solve that. So that one's still pretty popular, and I guess people are still running into it. Number 5, it's another version of how to access the PanelView Plus configuration menu. I do try to put, like when I rewrite these articles from scratch, I do try to put on top of the old articles, click here for the new article. But a lot of times people are still sent to the old articles, so apparently the search engines aren't doing that redirect correctly. Number 4, TIA Portal, how to download a free trial. And this is a good article. I think there's an updated version of this, though, so people are still going to the old one. The process is almost identical, but it did change slightly, the actual link you click on to download it. But in any case, it's great that you can just go right on their website. It does take a day to get your account set up because, they have to make sure that you're not a spammer or something, I guess. But in any case, it's great to be able to just go online and download a free trial. You can do this with a lot of companies, Siemens, Mitsubishi, and a lot of other companies. You can't do it with Rockwell, sadly. You have to bug their tech support people, or you have to bug your local distributor, and they're under such pressure to make process sales that this is not always something you want to bug them with. And to be honest, half of them don't know how to do it. So I actually have an article on what is a temporary activation up on the blog as well, if you're interested. So number 3, PanelView Plus MER runtime. How do you edit them, right? So this was a pain point going back to version really 1.0, right? And a lot of people have never used anything prior to version 3.0. We actually had a beta copy because I was a huge PanelView Plus RS-332 guy back in the day. So we had a beta copy in the office. I was working with Mike on that. He was the primary, but I was the secondary because he was doing the panel views and I was doing RS-332. But I got to play with the beta, got to work with, I think it was, I want to say Aaron Jacobs or Aaron Jacobs. Arlen Jacobs was the main guy we were interfaced with. Just an awesome dude, great to work with, really smart. And in any case, so that was the first release of the PanelView Plus. But before that, I was working with the 6182s, the CE boxes in version 1 and 2. I even submitted some early bugs in version 1.5 that were that some aligning issues that were happening and whatnot. So in any case, bottom line is, you may not be able to restore the MER. You can read this article, but any of you experts out there know that two ways you may not be able to restore the MER. Number one, when a user makes an MER, he can just select it and say, don't allow it to be restored, or he can password it. You can't get around that. The second thing is, if you go back before version 6, even if you extract the MER, all the text information, text-rich files like alarms and like parameters and other text-rich files, those get compiled, so you cannot recover those. You can recover the screens, you can recover some of the other stuff, but you're not going to get your alarms or parameter files or other, and macros, and there's one other that you will not be able to recover, even if you do follow that procedure. So, but if you do have a 5.0 and you lost the APA, I always teach my students in my courses, you have to have the APA. The MER is not a guarantee of a project. The MER is a compiled runtime in some cases, and it's locked up. But in any case, I go through all that. This is there's multiple editions of this I've done over the last 10 years, and I think this is the most complete one that goes through every different version of View Studio and the different things you're going to do. Number 2, I had updated this. Rockwell, every year or two, Rockwell changes their website. So I continue to update how to download RS Logix Micro, RS Links, and RS Emulate 500 for free. They seem to make it more and more difficult. I don't know why. Even if you go to the MicroLogix page, and I know most of them are obsoleted now, but they were still a great line, great product to learn on. If you go to the MicroLogix page, they try to tell you got to use the SLC 500 software to program it, which is substantially more expensive, 5, 6, 10 times more expensive. So I have an article on that as well. Do you really need RS Logix 500 to program a MicroLogix? The answer is no. But in any case, I'm so glad they have this still for free, because as much as I like the Micro 800, when you learn RS Logix on the MicroLogix, you're really learning the SLC 500 and PLC 5 for the most part. I know the I/O addressing and status files, function files are different, but you're learning the basic programming. I mean, a TON is a TON is a TON, an XIC, OTE, compare. Some of them have the limit tests in them, so that's the same. The compute instruction for the models that have them. So it's literally the same. I know there's some difference in one-shots on the micros, but that's life. There was the same difference, I think, in the old SLC 500s, like the 501, 502 versus the 503 and up. So in any case, you can still get, last time I checked just a few weeks ago, you can still download RS Logix Micro Starter Lite, RS Links Classic Lite, and RS Emulate 500 for free. And that's why I tell my students, if you're taking PLC Basics, the current edition that's available now, the first or second edition, you can learn without even having to buy software or a PLC. Granted, you can do that with Connected Components Workbench and a Micro 800, and you can do that with the Siemens PLC, and you can do that with other PLCs. But if you're trying to learn RS Logix, right, as a step before learning Studio 5000, that's a great thing to do. And then finally, number 1 for 2023 of all time, all of our articles, is actually a pretty recent article I did. I think I did it late 2022, and that is Studio 5000, pricing, packages, features, and bundles. This article took a while for me to write, but it just, to try to sort out the confusion, not only for our audience, but also for my students. I really just spent a lot of time going through all the different versions, updating the pricing. I put dates on the pricing. So yeah, this was December of 22. I took snapshots so you could see that this was the pricing right on Rockwell's website at that date, because some people are like, oh, the price is wrong. So I went through that and I talk about what features they have, what they can do. And then I kind of go through, subscription versus, um, perpetual licenses and legacy access, right? Because not everybody has, the latest and greatest. Some people have L35. Some people have, the older controllers. So, in any case, it's expensive. I guess the short version is it's very expensive. So, to lease a copy of Studio 5000 Mini, as of the date of this, it's a and for some reason you have to get support. It's like, I don't want support. I haven't called support in over 10 years. I don't need support. But in any case, I mean, that's good for a new person. But if you've been in the industry for years and years, you don't need support. But in any case, with 8 to 5 tech support, $370, let's say $77 a year as of December 2022. So that's pricey. I can get S7 1200 software, I think, for the same price, but lifetime copy. And some companies give their software away, program software away, Automation Direct, Horner Automation, and other people. The light is even more expensive. Just to get it for a year, the light, which includes the other languages, $937. It's just so expensive. And then you go up to the other software, the standard, which is ladder logic only. The standard 1-year price for Studio 5000 standard, ladder logic only, control logics, compact logics, $1,540 roughly. The perpetual licenses are just out of space. The full one, which is the most, they didn't have this originally, and I was complaining to them. Every once in a while, I'd send a little feedback saying, you gotta have full. It's the best package there if you're doing control logics. That one, to lease it for 1 year, right? $2,830. That is, I think, the perpetual. That's right around the price for a perpetual license, lifetime license for a Siemens S7. I think they're very comparable about the features and functions you get in them. So I don't know why it's so expensive. And a lot of the new versions they basically have new hardware support, right? It's not like we ever get that trending or data logging feature from, was it version 22? But in any case, I digress. So those are our top 10 articles of the year with the commentary from yours truly. Now let's look at we already looked at Paul's article. Now let's look at the top 10 episodes of the podcast. Again, for this one, I didn't just look at, so the problem with a podcast is that for the audio audience, it's usually they listen to them when they come out, right? So we see it every week we come out. We have hundreds of people listen to the podcast, but we don't see a lot of people go back and listen to the old audio podcasts. Now, that's different for the videos. A lot of times people will find the videos by searching, and so we do see a lot of our older podcasts get a lot of traction on the video side, right? But we don't see that same bump when we release the new video. We get a little bump, but then it grows over time as people need that information. So it's an interesting dynamic between the audio audience and the video audience. And I know a lot of the video people are listening only, because a lot of you guys have told me and said, oh, I love to listen to the show, but I listen to it on YouTube, So especially if you have the YouTube subscription, you get no ads, and you get to download them, and you get to listen with the screen of your phone off and all that kind of stuff, which, I mean, I don't understand. You should be able to listen to anything with the screen off. You should be able to listen to a video with the screen off, but that's just me. In any case, so for any recent podcast to make this list when they're competing against podcasts that could be 6, 7, 8 years old, that's a pretty big feat. That means that the topic was very, very popular. And so when we started this, the top 10 episodes of 2023, number 10 is the Flex HA5000 from Rockwell. Now this came out in August, and it still made the top 10 list. So it only had August, September, October, November, December, and it still made the list. So I'm pretty impressed. I really like this podcast because we went into the gory, I'm really technical. I love getting into the gory details of, everything you need to know to actually use the product, the fluffy stuff. If you want the 10,000 foot view, you're in the wrong place. We don't do that. We do gory technical details. We try to. Sometimes we don't get that. But I was really impressed with that, coming out so late in the year, only having 5 months, and it still made the top 10. And again, we added the stats from YouTube, Rumble, the Automation blog, and all the audio podcasts. We kind of, every place we sent it, almost every place, some of them we can't get the stats from easily, but we combined them all together to come up with this list. So kudos to the Flex. And I actually met the Armin at Automation Fair. I got to say hi to him, and they had a nice demo out there too. All right, so now number 9, Open PLC with Chigo? I know you're not supposed to say the T. Chigo Alves. And this was great. This is, I wish I could find some time to play with this, but this is a PLC engine he created using some other, foundational, open source foundational software, I guess is what I'm trying to say. He created a standard called Open PLC. I think this was for his thesis, getting out of in college. But in any case, really cool. It's a free PLC engine for Arduinos. I believe you can also do Linux-based like Raspberry Pis, if I remember correctly. This is a while back. This is podcast 139. We filmed it in February of 23. So still impressive, though it made the list, because how many people are looking to put a PLC engine on a Arduino chip? And you can get those chips on the $10, right? But a very interesting show. I would love to do more with him in the future. I'd love to teach a course on this, kind of like a $99 in-person, maker type course when we get our new offices. But in any case, you got to worry about paying the bills first. But that was podcast 139, Open PLC. I did not tell you the episode of number 10, the Flex HA. That was podcast 167. Okay, so number 8, machine level PLC, Modicon PLCs. This was in July, so another one that was less than 6 months to go, left in the year to try to rank up and beat some of those older podcasts. And this one came in number 8. Very impressive, podcast 161. So this is actually a kind of a longer podcast, because we had Joel go through all the hardware, and then we had Mahua go through all the software. So it is kind of a longer show, but still made number 8. Very impressive. I learned so much about Modicon. I had no idea what they currently had available. I'm still on the Modicon 084, right? But in any case, no, I thought it was a great podcast. If you want to learn what Modicon's doing, what Schneider's doing, check that out. We've been so fortunate to work with Schneider to add a bunch of shows over the last year. So many thanks to Jay, who's been organizing them all. So great shows. And I just love learning. We want to cover all the PLC manufacturers, all the VFD manufacturers. I'm even looking at process companies like Endress Hauser and Emerson contacted me just in the last 24 hours about coming on. And we're all excited about that, because you know what? The automation is more than just PLCs, right? Even though that's kind of like my background where I focused on. We want to get all those, those control valves. We want to get all those, just everything that you would have in an automation, whether it's process or factory. We want to cover it. So from there, number 7. Now this is a really old one. This is from 2020. This is podcast 53. Now we started interviewing vendors as our primary thing to do back in podcast 48 with Mitsubishi. And but this is one of the earliest ones we did. We did it with Thomas Hanender from Germany. He came on, and he has a thick accent, but I totally love this show, this podcast 53, because we went deep into Profinet, really deep, I used to love when we were learning about DeviceNet and ControlNet when they were first coming out, the really deep technical presentations in the DeviceNet Bible, and and then taking that out to the field and teaching the users about it. And so I really felt this was on the same level. It was excellent. I got to watch it again because it was so excellent. But in any case, podcast 53, Profinet Technical Overview. Okay, now we're on the podcast 97. This is from April of 22. And this is, we had a CodeSys on the show before. We want to get him back on. But this was actually with an author of the book of CodeSys, somebody who's worked closely with the CodeSys company for many, many decades. And this was Gary Pratt. We actually had a problem with the recording, and he actually re-recorded it and sent it to me because he didn't like the first way it came out. And he goes through his book now. Printed hardbound books. You're talking $200, $300, $400. But he went through the book with us. He even sent me a sample. Thank you, Gary. to go through myself. But this book is really the result of him teaching CodeSys for many, many years. So if you're looking to learn CodeSys, and I'm still dying to put it on my Raspberry Pi. I got it all set up. I bought some isolated I/O to put on it, shields to put on it, and just paying the bills keeps getting in the way of doing all this stuff. But in any case, inside the book of CodeSys with author Gary Pratt, podcast 97 came in number 6. Number 5. And this was What's New in Studio 5000 version 35. I would love to do a version 36. I've reached out to Rockwell again as the year began saying, hey, can we get Kristen back on to talk about it? But in any case, we'll keep trying. This came out in October of 22 and it's number 5. So that means it's doing really good. People wanted to know all about version 35. I got to actually meet Kristen in person at Automation Fair. That was really cool. She's awesome. And this was podcast 122. Number 4, Introduction to EtherCAT. This goes all the way back to June of 1999. Goes all the way back to, that's when we started the site, the first site. This goes back to June 21st. Oh, I'm sorry, June of 2021. And this is Introduction to EtherCAT, podcast 72. This was excellent. This was done by Nathan Easel of SMC, or Eisel. I don't know if I'm getting that right. But he did a phenomenal job. And I really appreciate SMC letting him come on to do that because it's been very, very popular. And, we try to cover SMC. I know a lot of people like poo-poo pneumatics, but it's a major part of our industry. How can you poo-poo it? So we try to cover all the major vendors, SMC, Festo, and so on. But in any case, great show there. And you're seeing kind of a trend here. So there's kind of like the what's new, and then there's like the real technical presentations, especially about industrial communications. Number 3, this I actually had David Patterson from Control.com. This was kind of like me reciprocating. They had me on in my job as an instructor at the automation school, come to one of their, I know it was a few years ago, come to a virtual day they had, and I gave a presentation. And so I wanted to thank them for doing that. So I had them come on the Automation Podcast, had David come on the Automation Podcast, and, they're kind of a competitor of the automationblog.com, except, we try to cover what we think is what you guys want to hear, where a lot of those big corporate media companies, they have to cover what their sponsors are paying them to cover. So it's kind of a little difference between us and those big guys. But in any case, this was on industrial PLCs based on Arduino and Raspberry Pi. And so, I wish we would have got more technical into some of these products, but it was a good overall conversation. And I think the draw of this one is the words Arduino and Raspberry Pi. And so it's given me a lot of ideas for future content. As a matter of fact, I'm trying to hire my son, if I can get him, to do some to work on those kind of things, because I think it's just there's a big interest in it. Number 2 podcast 132. This is What's New in TIA Portal V19. I think today I have to edit this is V18. Well, What's New in TIA Portal V18, podcast 132. This came in second. Now this was recorded back in December of 22. We don't get a lot of listens in December. So this was released back in December 2022 on my daughter's birthday, December 14th, and my oldest daughter. And, excuse me. And so I had the whole year, but it was able to come in at number 2. It beat out, well, what are we on now? 190 episodes. So it beat out all those other episodes that come in, except for one, that come in number 2. And I always love these. What's new with V35? What's new with V18? I got to get some of the other vendors to come on and, what's new with InTouch? What's new with CodeSys? Because people love that. I've always loved that. Whenever I go to Automation Fair or a trade event, I always look for the what's new. Like when I just went to Automation Fair, I'm always at the what's new courses. That's the first thing I sign up for. Excuse me. In any case, now let's go to number 1. And this has been number 1 for a number of years, overall number 1. What is IO-Link and why use it? This was, we had IFM on with Young Lee, and he went through IO-Link, did a great job. It's been very popular. We actually lost our shirt on this episode. We spent several $100 producing it, and from ad revenue, we made like less than $64. So that's why you see us reaching out to a lot of people to sponsor the episodes, or you'll see us burning advertisements into the episodes because you can't run a business if you're losing your shirt. So we've put them in front of, I think, 20,000 engineers, and we made $64. You know what that tells us? Nobody's advertising for industrial automation on the platforms that these podcasts go out to. But in any case, you're going to, with me, you're going to get some of the inside baseball in my shows. And that's just because that's my life, right? This is what I do for a living now. So with that, we are done with the podcasts. And did I tell you the podcast number? In case I didn't, that's podcast 58. What is IO-Link and why use it? So now let's take a look at, so we did blogs, we did podcasts, let's take a look at the videos. Now, for these top 10 videos, again, I did all time, okay? So I looked at, and most of the stats I got from YouTube because YouTube and the automation blog are where people consume the videos the most. And so I looked at those two sources for the stats, and I've ordered these based on all time. Now, I'm surprised some of the ones that would have been on last year are not on this year. So they're starting to fall off as we produce more and more. I think we have 400 or 500 or even more videos on that we've produced. But in any case, including one earlier this week where I go over my top product trends for 2023. It's an episode of the Automation Minute, about 2 minutes long. But in any case, so this is a top 10 automation videos all time that we've produced here at Insights in Automation and the Automation blog. And they could be short episodes, long episodes. They could be anything except the Automation podcast, because we just covered those. So I pull those out because we had a couple of those make our top 10 overall videos. So with that said, let's go ahead and look at number 10. And number 10 is S7 PLC Sim TI Portal V18 Create and Test Programs. So this is a tech tip 010 and tech tip 10. And the reason I think this is popular is because the interface changed with V18. I think it was V18. It's definitely different than V16, and it had me scratching my head because I'm like, I couldn't figure it out. So it took a while for me to get the new interface they created, and hopefully they've refined it in V19. But so that came in 10th place, and that was something that came out recently. I didn't put the dates on these. I don't know why. Number 9, still, goes back to season 1 of the Automation Show. This was my first time programming a Mitsubishi FX5 PLC. So that's a pretty old episode, and it still came in the top 10 this year. Number 8, a really old episode. This goes back to the Automation Minute Season 4. Well, I guess not too old. PanelView Plus 7 firmware, how to flash update your PanelView Plus's firmware. The article, the companion article to this, I think was also in our top 10. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But that is the Automation Minute Season 4, Episode 37. Number 7. Now this is one of my very top shows. It's TI Portal S7 1200, creating your first program. This is the Automation Show, Episode 19. This was actually did this before I did my S7. This Siemens back in the day had sent me a starter kit, which is awesome. And so I did a unboxing, and then I did a create your first program. And this was a heck of a learning experience. But number 7 all-time video that we've published. Number 6, PanelView Plus 7, how to reset the factory defaults. This is the one that we had a companion article that also made. Now they're not the same thing. We have a separate post for the video and a separate post for the article. And this is PanelView Plus 7 Reset to Factory Defaults, and this is the Automation Minute Season 4, Episode 38. So people are still struggling with the old PanelView Pluses. I really like the product, but some of the usability was always iffy, right? Number 5, right? That was 6, so this is 5, okay. So I kind of rushed these all together yesterday, so I'm hoping I didn't make any typos. Number 5, how to install EDS files. This is from the Automation Minute Season 3, Episode 21. And I'm surprised this is still so popular, but number 5 overall for last year. Okay, number 4, PanelView Plus, go to config mode. How do you access it, right? And if somebody forgets to put that button on the screen, and like we saw, those 2 articles were in our top 10. So here we have number 4. People are still looking for, how do I access the PanelView Plus's configuration mode? This was the Automation Minute Season 3, Episode 22. Number 3, and this has been one of my top episodes ever since I've done it. This goes back to the Automation Show, Season 1, Episode 46. This is my first time programming a Wago PLC. And so I struggled with this. You know, I never did get, I think I never did get the analogs working. And I reached out to them and never got a return message, which is kind of sad. But, you know, when these episodes aren't sponsored, you can't spend too many hours on them. But I think they came out really good. And these first-time programming have just been by and far and away my most popular shows, and so I'm hoping people are enjoying that. I have reached out to Wago several times to get them to come on the show, and it's just crickets. So, number 2, TIA Portal, how to download a free trial. This was a 2023 edition, and this was tech tip number 7. And again, the process has changed, and we saw that the article was very popular. The process has changed slightly. So I redid this video, and it's been the second most popular video on on the blog and on YouTube and the other locations. So a lot of people want to learn Siemens, and that's great because we have a Siemens course that Siemens helped us put together. So thank you for Siemens for supporting us, and our other vendors who support us, like Schneider. And whenever I say thank you to a vendor, I feel like I got to thank them all. So I want to thank them all. So you can see most of the stuff behind me was sponsored. So number 1 is, and this is by far and away, this is closing in on 500,000 views, right? By far and away, my most popular video of all time was my Siemens S7-1500, first time wiring and programming an S7-1500. This is a compact, right? Just extremely popular. And this was the Automation Show, Season 1, Episode 45. And this, I think, as we close it on 500,000 views, I think we may have made enough revenue from the ads on this to actually buy the product that's in the video. So not yet, but we're getting close. So you can see how low the advertising is for our industry on these platforms. So that's why we pivoted a year or two ago, and we started asking vendors to sponsor our shows so that we can bring them to you ad-free, because the ads we get are don't pay anything. So with that is our top 10 videos. Again, if you don't like the inside baseball that I talk about, my apologies. That's just who I am. That's just how I roll. But in any case, those are our top 10 articles. Now, I did want to talk about something before we end the show here, and that is the guides we have. So if you're not familiar with it, we do have 16 guides. I spent a week last summer organizing the top 16 products we've talked about into free guides on the website, so you can check them out there. I also wanted to talk to you about our content collections. So what I did is, this was last year, I compiled all the articles on ControlLogix and all the articles on CompactLogix, and even created some new ones and released them as ebooks. I know I got update some of the text here on, I think the sales ended. But in any case, it's a great way to sponsor us and support us, is picking up a copy of an ebooks. It basically gets you all the articles that are on the website on these topics as an ebook that you own forever. You buy once, you own forever. And so, for $10, right? So in any case, appreciate everybody who has purchased these and picked these up. We're hoping we've hooked up with somebody who we think are going to be able to do 4 more for us. So because it's just, you wouldn't believe how time intensive it is. You think you could just copy and paste them all or just print them all out, but it doesn't work. They look like garbage. So we wanted a quality ebook. Now, the Book of Knowledge, I was not promoting the Amazon Kindle edition because I updated it, but it was never showing up. It finally did show up, so you can get it on Kindle as well. I think they keep like $7.50 of the $10. So if you want to just buy the PDF version, you can do it here. But we do have a Kindle version available. I don't talk about it much because when I updated it last time, even 3 months later, they still hadn't updated it. So in any case, and then I never went through the hassle of putting the compact one up there because of that issue. But in any case, we also have video collections. So if you want to capture the first 4 seasons of the Automation Minute and the first season of the Automation Show, you could do so. You get a lifetime copy, either $30 for the digital edition or $35 for it on a physical USB drive. And yes, you can copy that onto your server. If you have a server that you're going to be, like I have a Plex server for all my media, you could just copy it right onto the Plex server. There's still, everything's still copyrighted though, so you can't re-upload them or share them because that would be breaking the law. But in any case, we also have, if you're just interested in ControlLogix, we have like a $10 digital download. They have 51 episodes, 6 hours, $9.99. You buy it once, you own it forever. So I want to thank everybody who picked those up. That's a way that people can support us. Also, our community, which is automation.locals.com. We are within, last time I checked, two new followers to hit 1,400. And you can also join if you want to ask a question. The price of a minute for 30 days of asking questions is $2. So try to keep it really low because we know people are strapped for cash, and especially some people overseas are strapped. They don't have the disposable income we have. They're not buying video games for $60 or coffees for $5. So in any case, that was very. Maybe I should park my car now. The way I said coffee there. From there, I do want to thank the automationschool.com for sponsoring this episode, making it ad-free. If you know anybody who's looking for PLC, HMI, or SCADA training, please send them over to theautomationschool.com and have them check out and have them contact me, ask questions. There is a phone number up here. Of course, when I'm filming, I'm not answering the phone. So you'll typically get a voicemail, but it will send a text to your voicemail to my cell phone. So we have people from the automation blog kind of slip over here and try to ask questions that way. We don't do that. If you want to ask a question, go to automation.locals.com. So with that, I'm trying to tell. I don't know why it's not going back to full screen. Well, I'll just do it manually. So with that, that's the end of this 2023 year in review. I hope all of you who are regular listeners and viewers of the show, maybe some new people, I hope you found that interesting and helpful. Again, we go right back into the vendors here. I'm actually recording new shows this afternoon and later this week. This weekend I'm going away for my son's wedding down in Florida, but I do have a show I'm going to start editing here for, I think it's version 19 of TIA Portal for next week. And then we have all kinds of vendors coming on, a good mix of vendors coming on. And we'll keep reaching out to those vendors who we either haven't had on in a while or we've never had on. We want to cover all the vendors. We don't want to be partial to one brand or another. But we are very appreciative of our sponsors because they help us keep bringing this show to you. And you can help us keep bringing the show to you too by giving us a like, a sub, and a share. Because as I always say, that is truly the fuel that keeps us on the air. Oh. So in any case, I thank everybody who listens to the podcast and watches the podcast. You helped us break 158,000 downloads or views or listens last year. That puts us by far and away as the #1 industrial automation product and technology show. So thank you. I want to hear from you guys. Use the feedback or talkback link on our websites to let me know if there's a vendor you want to hear from or if there's a topic you want covered, because this show is for you, right? I love learning about all this stuff, but at the end of the day, this show is for you. If there's nobody listening, I'm not going to do it, right? So I thank you for making us the #1 podcast in industrial automation. And I want to make sure I get you what you want to hear. So please don't be bashful about sending in. Again, some of these vendors I reached out to 4 or 5 times over the years and they never respond. So we'll keep trying. We'll just keep trying. But with that, I'm going to sign off now. I want to wish you all an awesome week. And I want to remind you, no matter what happens in the world, I want to encourage you to stay courageous and stay fearless. And until next time, my friends, peace.